I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and Mikey's the Chief of Staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, "Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray." It's okay, son. He has wits about him. He was just directing. He had blood all over him. And
Mikey McCoy, a fervent and frequent speaker for TPUSA, often seen as a protege of Kirk. The clip, just 17 seconds long, was isolated, enhanced, and spread across the internet with the speed of a digital virus. In it, as others ducked for cover or froze in shock, Mikey McCoy did not scream. He did not rush to the stage. His head, initially down, snapped up at the sound of the first shot. His eyes widened, but not with the blank terror of those around him. They darted, assessing. And then, with a chilling pragmatism, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and made a call. The timestamp in the corner of the video was mere 47 seconds after the first gunshot rang out. The question was immediate, and it echoed through a million comment sections. Who do you call 47 seconds after your mentor and movement leader has been shot? Your family? The police? Both would be logical, understandable. But the call was too quick, too deliberate. It lacked the fumbling panic of an emergency call. It looked to a growing chorus of online investigators, like a protocol, a check-in. The whispers grew into a roar when Pastor Rob McCoy, Mikey's father and a powerful figure in his own right within conservative circles, took to his pulpit days later for a memorial service. His voice boomed with grief and fury, a pastor shepherding his flock through a valley of darkness. He spoke of evil, of loss, of a fight that must continue. And then he said it, a seemingly offhand, emotional remark that would become the cornerstone of a sprawling conspiracy. In the chaos, Pastor McCoy thundered, his fist striking the podium. "My son, my brave boy," he called me. He said, "Dad, it's happened. They've shot Charlie." He was there, in the belly of the beast, and he called me. The online sleuths pounced. Pastor McCoy had just corroborated the viral clip. Mikey had called him.
But why?
In that specific, life-or-death moment, what was the urgent need to contact his father, a pastor miles away, instead of, say, a medic or a security chief? The official explanation, that it was a son seeking comfort from his father in a moment of extreme trauma, was plausible. But to a skeptical audience, it felt thin. It felt like a leak, a sensitive detail, inadvertently revealed, that suggested a prearranged chain of communication. Who was at the other end of that chain? And what was its purpose? This single data point, the call and its recipient, opened the floodgates. The internet, armed with digital scalpels, began a frame-by-frame autopsy of the entire event. New angles surfaced. A security camera from across the street showed a wider view of the panic. A live stream from a TPUSA in turn captured audio snippets. This multi-angle scrutiny focused intensely on two other key figures, Erika Kirk, Charlie's widow, and the ensuing leadership transition at TPUSA. Reports began to circulate, citing unnamed sources close to the investigation, about the call Mikey made. While Pastor McCoy claimed the call was to him, other leaks suggested the call logs showed a different number, Erika Kirk's. The timestamps became a labyrinth of confusion. If Mikey called his father at 2:03 and 47 seconds p.m. and then called Erika seconds later, what did that mean? Was he following a script? Informing the widow? Or was he reporting to a new commander? The public's gaze then turned to Erika Kirk. In the days following the assassination, she was the picture of stoic grace. She appeared at memorials, her back straight, her eyes veiled but dry. She spoke of her husband's legacy, of the need for the movement to press forward. She was dignified, strong, the grieving widow channeling her pain into purpose. For many, she was an inspiration. For a growing segment of the online world, her composure was suspicious. Critics and conspiracy theorists began to allege that Erika's public mourning looked less like grief and more like a strategic public relations campaign. Her speeches, they pointed out, always seemed to circle back to the future of TPUSA. Her calm demeanor was contrasted with raw, emotional interviews given by the families of other shooting victims. The question was asked, quietly at first, then more loudly. Why does she seem so composed? Is this the face of loss, or the face of someone stepping into a power vacuum they knew was coming? This line of inquiry converged with another startling development within TPUSA itself. The organization, which one might expect to be reeling, paralyzed by the loss of its founder and primary voice, instead demonstrated a breathtakingly smooth and rapid transition of power. Within a week, an emergency board meeting was held. A new leadership structure was announced, and at its helm, as the new acting president and public face, was a coalition of trusted insiders, with Erika Kirk taking a significantly expanded, more public role in the foundation that bore her husband's name, and Mikey McCoy being promoted to a senior leadership position overseeing communications and strategy. To supporters, it was a testament to the organization's resilience. To skeptics, it felt rehearsed. TPUSA insiders, speaking on condition of anonymity, described the transition as unusually seamless. There were no public power struggles, no visible debates. It was as if a pre-written plan had been simply activated. The machinery of the movement had not stalled, it had merely changed drivers, and it was accelerating down a road that seemed to have been mapped out long before the tragic detour. The digital investigation deepened, moving from the present moment into the past. Anonymous accounts, claiming to be former TPUSA staffers and donors, began leaking snippets of information into the ecosystem. They spoke of internal tensions, of disagreements between Charlie Kirk and some of his major donors over the direction of the organization. There were whispers of a power struggle that Charlie was losing, of a desire among the financial backers for a more controlled, less volatile message. Edited clips from past TPUSA events were dredged up and recontextualized. A clip of Charlie and Erika Kirk on stage, where he made a joking comment about her being the real boss, was now viewed as a dark prophecy. A video of Mikey McCoy, from 6 months prior, passionately arguing for a more aggressive online strategy, was seen as evidence of his ambition. The online investigators began to connect these disparate dots, inferring a coordinated optics and messaging campaign that was now falling into place. The theory coalesced. What if the assassination was not the end of the story, but the beginning of a new, more controlled chapter for TPUSA? What if certain elements within the movement saw more value in a martyred Charlie Kirk than a living one? The public reaction was, predictably, violently divided. Social media became a war zone. Platforms were flooded with competing narratives. Viral moments, like a tearful college student defending Erika Kirk on a news panel, were immediately countered with a viral thread from an anonymous insider picking apart the timeline. The community fractured. Some defended the key figures with ferocious loyalty. They saw the speculation as a grotesque desecration of a family's grief, a witch hunt fueled by the very hatred that led to the assassination. They pointed to the lack of any concrete evidence, the sheer horror of accusing a widow and a young activist of complicity in a murder. Others grew more skeptical, their doubts fueled by the accumulating pile of anomalies. The phone call, the pastor's slip, the seamless transition, the stoic widow. To them, it was a puzzle where the pieces, while not forming a complete picture, pointed unmistakably towards a truth far more disturbing than a simple lone wolf attack. They questioned everything. Why did security seem to have a lapse at that precise moment? What is the real story behind Mikey's immediate actions? What, if anything, is being hidden from the public to protect the organization's brand and its powerful donors? The official investigation remained silent, offering no answers to these feverish questions. They had their man, the shooter, in custody. The case, from a law enforcement perspective, was likely straightforward. But in the court of public opinion, a new trial was underway, and the defendants were the very people who should have been above reproach. Then came the potential catalyst, the piece of evidence that could shatter the stalemate. An anonymous source, using encrypted channels, delivered a data file to several independent journalists. It was purported to be a raw, unedited audio file from a body cam of a first responder from the 3-minute mark after the shooting. The audio is chaotic, filled with shouts and screams. But in the background, barely audible, two voices are heard. One is identified as Mikey McCoy. The other is unknown. Mikey's voice, strained but clear, says, "It's done. The package is secure. Proceed with the contingency." The phrase "the package" could refer to anything, a piece of equipment, vital documents. But in the context of the theories, it sounds like a code word. Proceed with the contingency. That phrase alone would be explosive. It implies a plan B, a prearranged sequence of events to be initiated by a specific trigger. Is the audio real? Is it a sophisticated fabrication, a cruel hoax designed to manipulate a grieving public? The source is anonymous. The file's metadata is inconclusive. Major news networks have not touched it, citing an inability to verify its authenticity. But in the shadows of the internet, it is being treated as a smoking gun. The revelation, verified or not, changes everything. It casts a long, dark shadow over every previous action, every moment of composure, every seamless transition. If this audio is genuine, then the questions we have been asking are merely the surface. The phone call, the leadership shift, the stoic grace, they are not just suspicious anomalies. They are part of a script, a contingency. The truth remains shrouded, a ghost flickering just beyond the reach of the camera lens. We are left staring at the fragments of a broken mirror, each shard reflecting a different, terrifying possibility. The official story offers closure, but the evidence whispering from the digital underworld screams that the story is only just beginning. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was the opening act, a violent prologue to a deeper, more insidious drama. The key figures are in place. The movement marches on. But the whispers are growing louder, coalescing into a single, urgent question that hangs in the air, demanding an answer. What, and who, is the contingency for? This investigation is ongoing. The threads are still being pulled. The full picture has not yet come into focus. But one thing is certain. The world is watching. The digital detectives are digging. And the next piece of evidence could drop at any moment, rewriting the story once again. What is being concealed behind the veil of public grief and organizational efficiency? Who was on the other end of that line when Mikey McCoy made his fateful call? What is the true purpose of the contingency? The official narrative provides comfort, but the unsettling clues point toward a far more complex and disturbing reality. This is not the end. It is the end of the beginning. The hunt for the truth continues. Stay tuned. The next revelation could change everything.